समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
क्या समझ में नहीं आया?
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
अब समझा।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
A blistering speech by Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney is the talk of the town, not just of the town, but of the global town square. Carney called out what he called the rupture that exists to the world order ever since Trump basically enforced his whimsical diktats on the global stage. Carney also said, in a very, very distinct example of plain speak, that if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. The question today, ahead of Trump's own arrival at Davos at the World Economic Forum, is especially for us here in India, with the trade deal nowhere close to fruition. Should India continue to lie low and continue the diplomatic attempts at bettering the equation with Donald Trump? Or should India take a leaf from Canada and France's book and call out Trump more directly? There are no good answers and no great options in this VUCA world at a time of an ever-churning world order, one in which Trump has on occasion even warned of a World War III. I'm Barkha. You're with the Mojo story. On the program today, Donald Trump is keeping not just us in the media, but the world busy. And Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney has made an address that the world is applauding. In an example of very, very unusual plain speak, Carney basically said that the world order is ruptured. He also said that those who do not go along, those who do not join the table may find themselves on the menu. The Europeans are trying to take on Trump, especially as Trump makes it clear that he has every intention to acquire Greenland. But the United Kingdom has already made a break with the rest of Europe. And there's now a big question on whether NATO, once considered one of the world's most powerful military alliances, even means anything without the United States of America. In the midst of all this is the India-US question. The trade deal is nowhere close to fruition. Trump, once again, at a rambling press conference that marked a year of his in office, spoke about how India and Pakistan almost went nuclear and insisted yet again that this was a conflict that he stopped. For the record, of course, India has already contradicted this claim many times over and has now stopped responding to it. The big question is, how should Modi and India respond? There's an offer of the Gaza Peace Board. That charter will be signed officially at the World Economic Forum tomorrow. Most believe that India should avoid it like the plague, but should we? What's the next step? There are Indian American intellectuals like Fareed Zakaria who say that Modi will have to do the asking, because Trump won't be the mover of this. If things have to get better between India and America, it will have to be an initiative taken by India. But there is national pride at stake, especially in post-colonial societies like ours. And there's a lot to talk about. Let me introduce our very distinguished panel as we look at all of the questions that the age of Trump seems to throw up on an everyday basis. Joining me now is veteran diplomat Ambassador Manjeev Puri. I should say that right from the beginning, Ambassador Puri was one of the first few people to almost prophetically predict that this might be the situation that we and the world would find themselves in, and here we are. So good on you, although the forecast is grim, as they say. Thank you, Ambassador, for joining us. Also joining us is our former Chief of Army Staff, General VP Malik. Good evening, sir. Always an honor to have you with us. Also joining us today after a long time, a very, very interesting voice. I want to welcome Asha Jadeja Motwani. She's, of course, a venture capitalist and an entrepreneur But the important thing here is that she has also been a donor, a key donor, an important high-profile donor to the Trump campaign, has supported Trump, and it'll be interesting to find out how she sees what he's up to now. And also joining us is Kushal Mehra. Kushal has a very interesting perspective here, not just as the podcast host, but also as somebody who divides time between Canada and India, the Canadian Prime Minister today earning all of the global accolades. So welcome everybody, and without further ado, let me bring you the key highlights from Carney's address. Take a look.
It seems that every day we're reminded that we live in an era of great power rivalry, that the rules-based order is fading, that the strong can do what they can and the weak must suffer what they must. And this aphorism of Thucydides is presented as inevitable, as the natural logic of international relations reasserting itself. And faced with this logic, there is a strong tendency for countries to go along to get along, to accommodate, to avoid trouble, to hope that compliance will buy safety. Well, it won't. We knew the story of the international rules-based order was partially false, that the strongest would exempt themselves when convenient, that trade rules were enforced asymmetrically. And we knew that international law applied with varying rigor depending on the identity of the accused or the victim. We participated in the rituals, and we largely avoided calling out the gaps between rhetoric and reality. This bargain no longer works. Let me be direct. We are in the midst of a rupture, not a transition. Great powers have begun using economic integration as weapons, tariffs as leverage, financial infrastructure as coercion, supply chains as vulnerabilities to be exploited. You cannot live within the lie of mutual benefit through integration when integration becomes the source of your subordination. The middle powers must act together because if we're not at the table, we're on the menu.
Middle powers must act together because if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. Ambassador Puri, I want to start with you. India has played it somewhat differently from everybody else. And we've been low-key. We have not been drawn into public argument. Is that still the way to go with Trump?
Barkha, thank you very much. And thank you for recalling what we said about several months back. Look, India is not Canada. Canada, if you don't mind my saying so, no white Canadian thought himself anyway different from the Americans till Mr. Trump came along. What a change. Let's forget Kushal and our friends who thought, oh, what a good way of getting an American passport. No, let's leave that out. India is not Canada. We are not a middle power. We are aspiring to be among the great powers. Canada is not thinking of getting onto the UN Security Council's permanent seat. They never thought of it. They are one of the blockers of this move. Let me therefore just say this. Now, in my opinion, the issue that we face, and which is in a sense making us introspect, we took the line a good 15, 20 years back that with the United States, it can't be a case of what we used to call non-alignment. Let's lean towards them. And that was good. And it worked very well till exactly 1 year back when this man decided that, this 1 year had to be celebrated in as many fireworks as possible from Venezuela to Gaza to Greenland to I don't know what else, Iran, etc. is now on the table. This has actually changed the person or the institution to which you were trying to lean. Does it mean that you need to change? My own view always has been that strategic autonomy for India was important because you wanted to be on the high table, if not for an equal, but for a near equal. That is a major set of issues. We all need to introspect what we need to do about it. But in terms of the way forward, Canada can have its views. The Europeans need to do. The white world needs to think about how it needs to deal with each other. Frankly, if they're able to come to some kind of, let me say, equilibrium, it might lead to greater multipolarity in the world. Because after 1992, the general feeling in the world was there is no multipolarity. And it's only with the rise of China that you are again talking about some kind of multipolarity, us, the BRICS and all, some kind of smaller add-ons to that particular thing. So while we keep using this phrase, the fact was that if the Americans weren't there with you, there wasn't anything at all going. What should we do? My opinion continues to be, in some senses, play it a little cool, play it a bit easy. I don't exactly mean that simply go along with Mr. Trump. I don't mean that at all. Spread your things, do multi-alignment, do whatever you can. But fundamentally, try and reduce the link, at least for the rest of the world, so that you can actually practice multi-alignment. And it's not that everybody sees you leaning in one direction and things go in the other. And I'll take just 30 seconds. You mentioned this, the peace board, etc. Frankly, Barkha, months, years gone back, I would have said, take a pass. But the situation now is, leave the Europeans and President Macron and all out. The thing is, you might be able to do something for the Palestinians if you think that they are people that you want to support and do something with. Their situation is very, very problematic. Perhaps inside the tent than outside the tent. And
so you're actually leaning joining this board?
No, my point is, it's a very, very tough call. Talk to people concerned, the Palestinians also, especially Brazil and South Africa, etc. But given where we are, I would say, can you be inside and yet be for them? Because in various ways, much of this board's construct is not about them. And I don't want to use those simplistic expressions, a Riviera on the Mediterranean and stuff like that. No, let's not say it. Although that might just be the reality of what is being looked at. I'm being very frank with you. But can we be inside, do something for them, let them feel that we aren't on the other side, but we are inside the table trying to do something which is good for them.
So let me open this up. But there's another dimension to saying no, Ambassador Puri, to the peace board. Trump's ego is already offended by India. Once during Operation Sindoor, Howard Lutnick tells us he was expecting a call from Prime Minister Modi on the trade deal. And I'm just wondering whose task it will be if India does decide to say no, to convey that to America. It might be considered a third personal rejection, because let's acknowledge the fact that with Trump, everything is very personalized. And that is something that Indian diplomats are finding very difficult to navigate their way around. Before I bring in Asha and Kushal, both of whom have very unique perspectives from both America and Canada, I want to bring in General Malik. General Malik, there are severe security implications to this rupture. I'm going to borrow from Mark Carney's word, to this rupture with America. We have an untrustworthy China. We have an adversarial Pakistan. We have a friction-filled relationship with Bangladesh. We have the Quad's future in question, and we have Trump, who may actually cut a deal with the Chinese. In the sort of these possible scenarios, from a security perspective, this is more than the fear of a possible two-front war that the military has been preparing for all along. You have so bravely led our forces in war in 1999. India is actually looking at two very worrying neighbors, Pakistan and China.
Yeah, Barkha, you are absolutely right. And we are going through a tough security environment currently, particularly the way President Trump has started moving not only towards whatever he is doing, but towards Pakistan in particular. That hurts us quite a lot. Mm-hmm. But one thing I can tell you, that today we are in a position, and we have got good friends, Russia, the European Union, and so many other people. While we have taken 25 years to build our security relationship with the Americans, but that time we all thought that it is in the interest of both the nation, as India as well as the USA. So if the manner in which the USA is going, I feel that we can stand alone. And with Russia on our side, we can handle things with China as well as against Pakistan also. We are not so weak today as we were, say, 25 years ago or 30 years ago. And while I'm not in favor of rupturing our relationship with USA, because I still feel that the presidents in USA come and go, and we can still hope for the best with the next president. But I do feel that our national interest, you called it national honor, I would say national interest, wherever they are at stake, we have to take the right step. And security-wise, we may suffer a little bit, but we are not in a position that we will go down. I think we are fairly strong, and the kind of friendship that we have built, and the kind of security steps that we have taken, both on the western border as well as on the northern border, I think we can go through this sensitive period that we have in front of us, as long as President Trump is the president in USA.
General Malik, you remind us that things are transitory. And I think it's important to remember that you play the long game. You don't play the reactive game. That's what, Indian security establishment is trained to think. But let me bring in Asha Jadeja Motwani now. Asha, you have been a very prominent donor to the Trump campaign. You have bet on Trump. Do you still support that set of choices that you make, or do you believe in retrospect that you didn't know that this is the kind of president that you were backing? Can we unmute Asha? Yeah, go ahead, Asha. Yeah.
I'm a strong supporter of President Trump, Barkha, and the reason for that, first of all, thank you for having me on the show, because this gives me an opportunity to make my views clear, given how much I've created a stir within India about my donation to the Trump campaign for the Super PAC. I'm the fourth largest donor, and I'm actually really grateful that I am a donor, and I'm a White House insider now. And so I'm glad that you have me on the show, because it's important that you speak to people who are in the Trump inner circle.
Yeah.
Now, for me, why is it important that we as India and US, we end up continue to invest in our relationship, in trust building, and in building the friendship between the two nations? There are multiple reasons. First reason is because we have spent 25 years building friendship between US and India ever since we did the civil nuclear deal with the US. We have spent 25 years building even economic relations and defense partnerships in the US, with the US. So we have a very strong relationship already in place with the US. Yes, we are going through a transitory hiccup right now, but that doesn't mean that we stop investing in our relationship the way we should continue with any other great power that's that's in our ecosystem. For India, it is our largest trading partner. We also have 5 million Indians in the in the United States in positions of great power and authority. So this is a relationship that is important for both parties to invest in. And this is not a matter of ego. This is a matter of doing what is right for India and doing what is right for the US. And
can I ask you, and again, great to have you on. As you said, you actually need the views of those who are connected and close to the administration. And my question to you is this: what's in it for India? I'm quite happy to be absolutely transactional about this, not be sentimental, not do hand wringing, conversations on rules-based order and shared values and so on. The question is, I agree that the tariffs are hurting India economically, but there has to be a level playing field for two countries to talk to each other. At the moment, there's this feeling in India that we're being treated like a recalcitrant child. We're not being treated as an equal. Now, you know India also, right? Indians don't like this. We took our independence in 1947, and that history continues to haunt us.
It's not about equality and about being treated as the same. The truth of the matter is, America is a $30 trillion economy. We are a $4 trillion economy. It's important for us to trade. Number one, let's be transactional. We want to trade with the US because it's going to be beneficial for us, and we should shamelessly do it. So that, I think, is not an issue. The second thing, I think, is on the trade and on the defense front. So on the defense front, it's important that we recognize that we are surrounded by hostile powers, and China is not a friend. It's not even an adversary anymore. China is more of an enemy power. The other day, I was talking to people in the AI summit, from the Indian side. Nobody wants people. The Indian government was telling me that India is China free. Indians are completely suspicious of the Chinese now, and we do not want anything to do with the AI stack. So we do not trust the Chinese. We want to be with the US. We are already partnered with the US on everything AI. We have American companies all over India right now investing heavily in Indian companies. So we have everything going for us. All we need, and here's the good news, Barkha, and I hope that the right people listen to this. The good news is that Trump is easy to work with. Believe it or not, it is really unlike other presidents where you have to call 20 people. You have to count out to a bunch of bureaucrats and other state secretary of state and secretary of this secretary. In this case, it's a one-man show. The beauty of the Trump administration, it's a one-man show. Get to know Trump and talk to him, reach out to him, and we are in business. He loves India. He loves Prime Minister Modi. He is very fond of Prime Minister Modi. He sees India. I have seen him speaking about H1B with some people in the media, which you must have seen. He said that we need Indian, brain.
So what do you think India should be doing that it's not, according to you?
Prime Minister Modi should be making that phone call. We should be saying yes, and we should be saying yes to the Board of Peace. Now, I know it's going to look bad. Again, I'm just being a contrarian here. Let me just say my piece here, okay? I know a lot of people are not going to like what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
If Prime Minister Modi said yes to the Board of Peace, what's going to happen is all hell is going to break up, especially in the Indian left circles, okay? Everybody is going to say, Prime Minister Modi did the wrong thing. But that's not the case. The Board of Peace is going to have UAE in it. It's going to have Israel in it. It's going to have Greece. It's going to have a whole bunch of European powers in it. If the Prime Minister says yes to President Trump about the Board of Peace, what's going to happen is that in that Middle East ecosystem where he's trying to build peace, the president gets India as an equal partner in crafting of that peace. It also gives India an in and a face-saving way to say, you know what, we are working with you on this. This is an easiest way for us to get rolling on this. Now, the Prime Minister has to, of course, think about domestically, how is this going to sit with the left? But I don't know. From what I hear, the Congress and the left seem to be irrelevant in India right now. He should grab this opportunity. The Prime Minister has unbelievably amount of goodwill in the White House, and President Trump thinks very highly of India. This is an opportunity for us to grab, and we must not let it pass.
Okay, now, since you said this, Kushal, with your permission, these voices are coming from both the right and the left in America. Fareed Zakaria is actually a very well-known critic of Trump. And in an interview with me, he actually said exactly what Asha is saying. If you want to make this better, Modi has to do the asking. Modi will have to make the ask. He may have other views on Trump. He's not a Trump fan. But I'm just going to play out this clip and come right back to you, Kushal, and then everybody else. Take a look.
I think it can be repaired. I think Modi has the capacity to do it. India is important enough. But there is one big issue. Modi will have to make the ask. Modi will have to be the kind of prime mover in this. One thing Donald Trump is actually very shrewd about and intelligent about is he understands leverage. He understands when he has it and when he doesn't. You notice when he went up against China and the Chinese retaliated with the rare earth ban, he understood China has incredible power on this, not just in rare earths, in the entire supply chain of critical minerals, pharmaceuticals and such. He backed off. He's backed off completely on China. He knows that in the case of India, he has leverage. India needs this deal more than he needs it. I would say anyone who would make a fair analysis of Prime Minister Modi would say that there are big egos on both sides as a general proposition. And I think, if you watch, for example, the way Keir Starmer handles Trump, I think it would be fair to say that Prime Minister Modi is unlikely to be willing to handle him in quite the same way.
Starmer is embarrassing. I'm sorry, I'm cutting you short there, but to watch,
I know you.
It's
I know, but
it's embarrassing to watch Keir Starmer.
But he gets what he wants, right? I mean, is this about you or is it about the country? I think what Keir Starmer would say is, I got Britain the first deal, the lowest tariffs. I got him to agree to a special partnership on AI. Like, these are not insignificant things.
But since that conversation with Fareed Zakaria, it is quite evident, Kushal, that Starmer actually doesn't get what he wants. That Trump is going ahead, irrespective of whether the Brits are with him or not. Starmer is walking a tightrope with the rest of Europe. He's being pilloried by both his supporters and his critics. Right? And to Asha's point about Prime Minister Modi being worried about the left, I don't think Prime Minister Modi would be worried about the left. I think he personally invested a lot in this equation and feels probably personally peeved. I don't know. But there's also, and it's easy to dismiss this idea of national pride as airy-fairy. But I think people across the spectrum feel it. Kushal, it's over to you.
I was just reminded of that old movie Sadhu और शैतान. उसमें एक सीन था कि वो शादी मुझसे करती है, प्यार किसी और करती है, और उसके दिमाग में कोई तीसरा रहता है. So with Donald Trump, you don't know what's happening. See, all these airy-fairy claims, Barkha, if you remember, I don't know, I think it was on your show, I had said the only way to deal with Trump is that Raju Srivastav pose, ऐसे बैठ के देखो, हाँ तू बोल ले, और कितना बोलना है बोल ले. Because my problem with, and with due respect to all foreign policy analysts, I just think it's a lot of hot air. Every time somebody comes and makes this lofty claim ki we will do this will happen, then that will happen. And then Donald Trump comes in, that meme that is going on of a petulant child, like, Mummy, Greenland, that, he literally throws a tantrum like that. And then every other equation changes. So I'm sorry, you name the leader. Keir Starmer got a good deal, right? Then he got hit with the new tariffs. The French got a good deal, right? Then they get hit with new tariffs. Canada was anyways being hit from the last year itself. So at least Canada is consistent. They're being whacked, last year, they're being whacked this year. So there is no good answer, Barkha. And I am not here to pretend that I have all the answers. All I'm saying is that no Indian Prime Minister, and to assume that Mr. Modi will not take his words back and swallow his ego. I'll give you tangible examples of domestic politics where Mr. Modi has gone back. You remember in the first ever term, land reforms, Mr. Modi took them back after protest. Then the farm protests, Mr. Modi took them back. If ego was such a problem with the Prime Minister, he would have not taken those things back. So politics is about pragmatism. But what is the guarantee? Let's assume Mr. Modi joins this board. Let's assume Mr. Modi accepts everything that Donald Trump says. He even writes a personal letter in Punjabi saying, Paji, tusi great ho. But the point is there any guarantee that Donald Trump will not throw a tantrum the next day? All the great analysts all over the globe, they say, if you do this, Trump will be happy. And then the next day, the Trump administration does the complete opposite of that. At least I am not saying क्या करना चाहिए. मैं तो बोल रहा हूँ मुझे नहीं मालूम, सब लोग लगे रहो. 3 साल बाद ये चले जाएगा, उसके बाद देखा जाएगा जो होगा दुनिया का.
So is it a holding pattern, Ambassador Puri? And how do you respond to Asha's point, also Fareed's point, two very different perspectives on Trump? In the same interview, Fareed called him a narcissist monarch. Asha clearly has no buyer's remorse in being a key donor to his campaign. But are we all then just saying, and I kind of agree with Kushal, that all formulas have actually proved to be faulty. Are we then just saying holding pattern? Lie low, hunker down till Trump is in office and this is his last term? Is that the policy? Is that the formula?
So, Barkha, look, my view, and you know this quite well, has been that, I never asked you to do the lean, but you have leaned so much that today, you don't know how not to be in the lean. And it's like that animal kingdom, that seal or whale or whatever it is, which after 6 weeks tells the children, I'm not your mom anymore. This has left us completely high and dry, all those people who pushed a particular view. But that's happened. What do I do about it? I can't do anything about it. There's 20 years down and so on and so forth. What should we do now? We can certainly do this, do nothing, but that's not the answer. You need to do, let's say we are talking about the board of peace, and answer now. You can sleep, you can stay away, but here is a man who wants for every little thing. And it doesn't mean that you say yes today, tomorrow it will be yes again for you. But for everything, he wants tick mark or no tick mark. Either you are in or you are not in. So all the time saying tick mark may not be possible.
But how do you respond to Asha's point that the alternatives are much worse? The alternatives are China.
I'm not sure about all that. I'm not sure about all that. I see great merit in a relationship with the United States. I see this is a Trump polar world. I'm not sure about the Europeans, etc. But for India, that this is the only boat, this is highly unacceptable to me. This cannot be, this should not have been. We have made it somewhat in that direction, and we tend to buy that argument. That's not the case. Talking about, we are now down to a particular piece, the board of peace. That's what we are looking at. Otherwise, there are much bigger things that we can talk about. My view is, it seems to me, no will be seen badly. Will yes be seen well? Not really. It doesn't mean that tomorrow will be good. But your insight, perhaps to your own conscience, and that to many others, you can say you want to be inside the tent to try and do something for those about whom the whole world feels, the Palestinians, etc. So, there is pragmatism to what I'm saying. I am the last one to be of this belief that this too shall pass, this too shall pass. But it's 3 years from now. Supposing, people are talking about November. My understanding is if by some chance November doesn't go well for him, he'll hunker down and become double down on what he's doing. 3 years is a long period. We have the capacity to be able to deal with it, but today we are not, let me say, our mindsets are not one of dealing with it. So let's try and see what we can do. If not halfway house, extend a little bit. Let's see what we can keep the ball rolling.
Okay, Asha wants to come in and then General Malik. Asha, go ahead.
Just a quick point that, look, India already has a very powerful relationship with the US. This is not something that is new. We've had a relationship for 25 years. We have tons and tons of relationship with many massive American companies. You have Google investing billions of dollars in Visakhapatnam, Apple investing, Musk is coming in along with Tesla. I mean, you name it. There is so much going on in track 1.5 and track 2 and business relationship that we just, my request to those who are listening here, those who are in a position of power here, is that please take this to the finishing line. This is very interesting. It's very important. And Trump is an easy person to work with.
And what is if it's so easy, Asha, what is the problem? If it's so easy, what is the problem?
There is no problem. There is a question of Prime Minister Modi speaking to President Trump.
But he has spoken 8 times according to the MEA.
Well, the thing is, on the tariffs front, right now we are only speaking about the tariffs. What needs to happen now is, for the first time, we have Sergio Gore, Barkha. We have Sergio Gore in New Delhi who is speaking to and texting President Trump every day, right? Yes. What we need to do is we need to sit down with Prime Minister Modi and figure out a way for the Prime Minister to communicate with the President. Here are a few things we are going to say yes to you about.
Okay, Ambassador Puri, I need to go to General Malik and Kushal, but a brief interjection from you. Yes, Ambassador Puri.
Yeah, Barkha, a very simple point. I know what Asha is saying. I am well familiar with all of this. I just want to tell you this. The Japanese were the second largest economy for 25 years. Even during those times, did you think that they were the ones who should be getting into the permanent membership of the Security Council? We didn't think so, which is why we stymied the ability to get them in. We have a feeling about ourselves, a high-table country. And we, therefore, while having great and good relations with the United States and others, we need to be a country that stands up on its own. I'm sorry, but Godi is not the answer for it. This doesn't mean board of peace, no, etc., etc. Thank you.
Yeah. So let's take this thought that we have a feeling about ourselves, a high-table country, and being a sort of lapdog to any nation, in this case, the Trump administration, is not something that sits easy, General Malik, with India. I think what Asha is saying is India's interests are at stake. The consequences are real. The damage to, let's say, shrimp farmers, for instance, is real. The economy can be seriously hit if this gets worse. Therefore, leave sentiment aside. Leave what Ambassador Puri is calling this feeling about ourselves. I agree with Ambassador Puri, by the way, but I think it's very important because a number of people in America are making this point again and again, as Asha is making right now. General Malik.
Firstly, I don't agree with people who think that a prime minister should speak to the other person and everything will then become hunky-dory. The prime ministers don't speak. They don't have ego. They have to speak only when their national interest is at stake. So, to say that Prime Minister should speak and everything will become fine, I don't quite agree with that. I've seen how the decision making takes place in the CCS and other places. So what is more important for prime ministers also is national interest. And of course, they can change their mind whenever the national interest is at stake. So it's not a question of ideology. It's not a question of personality. It is more of national interest. And that must be. The other thing that I have noticed is, I think Asha doesn't have the right opinion about our security capabilities. You know, over the years, I have seen through what has happened after Kargil war and how we have been moved. And looking at the international relations that we have at the present and the capabilities that we have got and the capabilities where the others have got are likely adversaries, we are not expecting China to start attacking us tomorrow in a big way. And whatever they do, we can handle that. It's not a question of that we will be they will run down all the way to Delhi or other places. Please don't think that way. Our forces are there. We are the third largest armed forces today, and we have those capabilities to stand up. A small skirmish can take place anywhere. We will handle it. But a major war, I don't foresee happening in the next. So that is as far as the security is concerned. Now, as far as Board of Peace is concerned, I think we can wait for some time. As I see it today, there are some friends of India who have already thought of joining the board, and there are many others, our friends only, who are not wanting to join the board. There is no great hurry about it. Personally, if you ask me, I don't think it's a very workable idea that has been floated by President Trump. I don't think we can literally, have the Board of Peace taking over the United Nations work and whatever the United Nations has done since 1945. It is going to take time. There are 60 countries, they have major conflicts with each other. And it's not going to start functioning efficiently from tomorrow onwards. So we can wait for some time, and there is no great hurry about it to get inside the tent.
I do agree with you, but because I know Asha doesn't, let's take this to her. One, Asha, General Malik led the Indian Armed Forces at a time when the capacity was very different. And he famously said then, we will fight with what we have. And I think he's saying that India has also come a long way from 1999. Of course, China is not to be trusted. China provided Pakistan with weapons in Operation Sindoor. China did real-time monitoring. Our Deputy Chief of Army Staff said India was fighting not one but two countries. But I think what he's saying is India has the capacity. We cannot be, in a way, extorted or blackmailed on a security issue to give in to something that goes against our grain. How do you respond to that?
No, for sure. I'm actually with the general on that. I feel actually that, listen, first of all, in America, there is a clear recognition that India is a rising power. It's a powerful nation. It's a rising power. My only point to all of you, Barkha, and because I know you guys speak to people in Delhi, is that we are 95% there. Please just do the 5%. Please just do the 5% necessary right now in whatever capacity that needs to be done. I don't know Delhi. I don't know the Indian government. I don't know the Prime Minister. I don't know any of the people there. I just don't know what is that 5% that needs to be done. But we are 95% there because our American companies and the American people are with the.
Are you not disturbed by the fact that Trump calls Asim Munir his favorite field marshal? Since we're talking about,
let him do that because he needs Asim Munir to provide the military fodder in the Middle East, if at all ever needed. Right now, if Israel was to go to war with Iran and Trump needs help in Iran, the only people who will do it, the Sunni power that will do it, is Pakistan. That should not be our concern. Let Pakistan provide the fodder, the cannon fodder for Iran. That's not our problem. Our problem right now, Barkha, is that we are 95% there in terms of the finishing line. We should try and do that last 5%. And I don't know what that is. But that last 5% needs to be done because American companies are already in India. We have 5 million Indians in the US doing fantastic gangbusters. How do we get to that finishing line is a question for all of you to think about because you know Delhi, I don't know Delhi.
Okay, you know Trump and none of us know Trump is what my answer to that would be. And I'm curious to actually hear in our last comments what we think he might do next. Shudder, because he is about to reach Davos later this evening. Kushal, let's bring you in. There are two schools of thought in India. One is can't afford to be too sentimental about this, can't afford to be anything but cold-blooded and transactional, and therefore buy time. Buy time, build relations with other countries. The other view is the view that leans into America, that Ambassador Puri says was the original mistake, that you leaned in too far and now you don't know how to calibrate your interests without them in your corner. How do you see it?
Well, it depends. I mean, okay, I understand the bit of not being emotional about anything, but there is a preconceived assumption that not being emotional only involves, biting the bullet and calling Trump. Why can't not being emotional and not calling him is also an equally viable option? Like, I don't understand. Emotions एक ही तरफ चलती हैं क्या? दूसरी तरफ नहीं चलती हैं. It's like, I don't get this emotional bit. See, before I was a podcaster, I was a very serious textile entrepreneur who had a few factories. All right. So I know my industry well. It is one of the industries that was hit the most by the American tariffs, FYI. And uske baad mein bhi, I can tell you with some certainty the textile industry will survive and find a way, because there is something jiska koi nahi, uska Hong Kong hai yaro. And right now, as we talk, orders are just going through Hong Kong. And I had predicted this, and you can go and check where the textile orders are going. FYI, we are about to sign a deal with the Europeans on the 27th of January this month. Guess who is the second biggest buyer of Indian textiles after America? And the gap is not that much. Before people think the gap is gigantic. No, America is at like 26% of our apparel business. European Union is at 19. You know why they're at 19? Because they put a 9% tariff on our goods. And guess who doesn't get a tariff from the European Union on apparels? Bangladesh. Guess who's going to get a tariff now? Bangladesh. Guess who's not getting a tariff now after the 27th? India. So, you got to wait it out. So I actually don't agree with this. There is, with Trump, you call a person and you convince a person that is going to stick to his side of the bargain. This is a man who changes his tantrums every 3 weeks or every 3 hours. Like, yeah, he has capacity to come up with new tantrums. I don't have capacity to argue with him. It's like that. अरे कितना आदमी आर्ग्यू करेगा इसके साथ? वो रोज नया पंगा खड़ा करता है. Boss, it's like that person in the society who comes and says ये नहीं चलेगा, वो नहीं चलेगा. उसके बाद सोसाइटी में लोग उससे बात करना बंद कर देते हैं. वो बोलते हैं ये तो पागल ही है, इससे कौन बात करेगा? So you have to be realistic to expect. Okay, मैं बोलता हूँ मोदी जी कॉल क्या करे? कोई बोले कॉल पे एक टांग ऊपर करो, एक हाथ ऐसे करो और कॉल करो. चलो मोदी जी ने वो भी कर ली. उसके बाद कोई गारंटी है वो आदमी स्टिक करेगा अपने वर्जन को? कोई गारंटी लिख के देने वाला है इधर? लेट्स गेट रियल यार. द मैन गेट्स अप इन द मॉर्निंग, पता नहीं किससे झगड़ा करके आता है, अरे कल उसने टिंडे गलत खाए होंगे और बोलता है आके अपनी फ्रस्ट्रेशन किसी और पे निकाल के चले जाता है. एंड वी एक्सपेक्ट रैशनैलिटी डीलिंग विद दिस मैन यार. लेट्स गेट रियल यार.
Okay, let's get real. Let's take final comments. Our audience was polled. What should New Delhi do now with the trade deal in limbo? It's very interesting, these figures. Again, we do not claim to be representative of all groups, but this is certainly our audience. Only 17% feel you should confront Trump directly. 20% say stay diplomatic, secure the trade deal. 54% say negotiate tough, but avoid public confrontation. And walk away is only 9%. So it is a pretty granular, textured set of responses here from our audience. I'm going to start taking last comments. I'll start with you, Asha. Since you do know Trump, I think you must respond to this point by Kushal, that it's not as if people who have paid obeisance to him, who have lain prostrate at his feet, who have made the phone calls, who have sucked up to him, who have been sycophantic, are in a good place today. Therefore, I do tend to agree that if the Prime Minister is going to pick up the phone and call Trump, he must know that there is something with which Trump will not embarrass him later. Him being not Modi personally, but the Prime Minister of India. It can be anybody. Trump has released his personal conversations with Macron on X, right? How does a leader engage with such a leader? Asha, last comment starting with you.
So as far as, as I said, Barkha, my main concern right now, as somebody who is speaking regularly to people in the White House, is that and this is my strong intuition right now, that we are 95% there in terms of closing on the trade deal. We just have a little bit longer to go, and few things from our side, from the India side, will close this deal. This is my strong conviction, and if we can do this, wonderful. That is up to you guys to decide, figure out what that's going to be. But why is it that why should we do this? The question about, why should we be acting why should we be investing in this relationship? Well, I feel it's because it's an important partner of the US, of India. This relationship is extremely important, and I think that this relationship must be invested in. I think the Prime Minister knows exactly where these things are headed right now. The good news is right now that we have Sergio Gore, who is Trump's right-hand man, as our ambassador. We have even a shorter line to Trump right now, and I have a feeling, I'm actually optimistic, that we are going to use that short call line between Sergio and Trump. I think we are going to get there very soon. I'm very, very optimistic about US-India friendship now.
Okay, that's an interesting thought, and maybe counterintuitive to how Indians are feeling. But Asha says that with Sergio Gore here, things are looking up. General Malik, what does Delhi do according to you? Buy time, lie low and buy time, and keep negotiating?
Barkha, I have almost since 62, I have seen many ups and downs in Indo-US security relations. And really ups and downs, I have seen that. While they will be our friends, they can be our friends. We are adjusting to each other mutually for the last 25 years, brick by brick. But I still feel that we have to look after our own national interests. So my thought is that don't rupture your relationship in the manner that that Trump administration is going about these days, but hold on to your national interest and do what you think is right. Let's not be in a hurry. We are looking at long-term relations. We are not looking at 3 years or 3.5 years relationship.
Yeah, I think that is an extremely important point. The question that must be asked is, can you afford to sort of sit back in holding pattern cushion for 2 years, 3 years?
On some issues, yes. On some issues, no. Wherever we have to bite the bullet, we should go ahead and do it. Wherever we don't have to bite the bullet, we don't do it. Like I gave you the example of apparels. I know there's a way out in apparels. We'll find that way by the end of January. And this is not me talking, just, coming up with numbers out of my ass. Like, it's an industry I follow. It's been my life. So if there is some other industry where we do need to call, we call them. And we figure a way out. So it should be pragmatism. I anyways don't believe that, this is, I know Mark Carney, everybody's very gung-ho about Mark Carney's speech. Basically, that speech is like, these are my last words. The nichod of Mark Carney was, hum to mauze kar rahe the itne dinon se, ab yaar ye aake humko hi chitar marne shuru ho gaya, to theek hai, abhi ye chal nahi raha. So basically what Mark Carney's speech was...
But he did do a mea culpa, right? He said, look, we've all been part of this game. It worked. Yeah. Now it doesn't work. That's what it was forward. Actually. Yeah, so move forward. That's realpolitik. That's realistic.
Yeah, but see, we were never preachy like the Western world about the rules-based liberal order.
Wo sahi hai. All right, Ambassador Puri, to the diplomat, the last word. Not an easy set of options. I don't envy anybody who has to take this decision. I have to say that. Last word to you, sir.
Barkha, thank you. So, there are several subsets that we are speaking on. One is the big, broad sets of relationships. Everyone agrees, pragmatism, no rupture, take things forward, but stand for national interest. No issue at all. The definitions of national interest are a bit different from the way some of us sitting in India and how Asha ji sitting there at that end sort of looks at these things, which is fine. These things happen. Nothing wrong with it. Look, as far as the trade deal is concerned, I think the overwhelming part of India is no walking away. Don't be silly. Talk tough. Negotiate, be pragmatic, take things forward. Trade is important, business important, money matters. Perfectly fine. But, I brought in for a very good reason the issue of the Board of Peace, because there's something of an immediate kind of thing, what you should do. Yes, you can walk away, look at it, etc., etc. I'm not sure how much luxury you have on all of that at the moment. Again, my way of looking at many of these things is engagement is extremely important. You need to be engaged even when on the other side, the manner of engagement leaves you extremely dissatisfied, etc. Keep yourself engaged. Remember, the big white world, the Japanese included, has a different sets of issues. Now, all of this, Ashaji, please please give me the chance to say this. The Americans and the Europeans are totally integrated, and yet, they're getting what they're getting. So pure integration is not the only answer. You've been a great success story. Your late husband, all of you, fantastic. You make us all so very proud. We all know that. There are lots of my friends from where you come from. All that is great. But, at the end of the day, we, those who are in this country, etc., we have a slightly different set of perspectives for all of that from all of you. I know you love India and so on, but we have that national interest, that business of the nation state of India and taking it forward, which, I appreciate your willingness to look at it and understand it, but it can't be yours. So my little point, Barkha, in conclusion, is very simple. You have to engage. You have to engage practically. You need to take things forward. You need to stand your ground when it really comes to matters. On trade, as I said, most people are in favor. Keep negotiating. Make it tough. Don't make it impossible. Phone calls are par for the course. You take a call on all of that. This Middle East, all these multilateralisms, in my opinion, are not unimportant. They are very important. They are about shaping the global order for now and for a few years, and we don't know what happens to all of this. We need to ensure that the way we play this game doesn't, if you don't mind my saying so, turn out to be the Japanese way. Right there and yet nobody. We have to be up there, maybe take it a little easy, but ensure that in the longer run, hopefully not so long ago, we are there in the world. And as somebody who may not be in the G2, but certainly is in the G4. Thank you.
All right. We leave it there. Thank you very much. This has been a fascinating conversation. I think suffice it to say that for those who have to decide India's next step, this is not an easy set of decision making to take, especially when you have to craft strategy without a necessary end goal in mind. Obviously, the immediate goal is to protect India's not just security, but also economic interests. But in the meantime, when you don't have a map, and you don't have a clear destination, you have to actually just literally do this 1 mile at a time. That's literally the world we live in right now. Thank you so much. A great conversation, great guest, General Malik Ambassador Puri, Kushal Mehra, Asha Jadeja Motwani. Thank you so much. Great to see all four of you. And to our audience, thank you and see you tomorrow. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.